I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight it will be the stars and cars of the SimSpeedShop.com Premier Series taking on the world's center of racing, Daytona International Speedway, for the Real Assist 200. Daytona, one of those places that is just absolutely incredible, Bizzle. Synonymous with speed. Well, let me do the intros first, I guess. I'm Chris Graham. That's Bizzle. Patrick Byrne. He's on the other end of the booth with me here. And, man, I'll tell you what, this is one of those places that you just go, wow, Daytona is freaking awesome.
Yeah, every time I've walked into Daytona, it's probably better than going to Disney World. You fly down to Florida, you get off the plane, you get to the racetrack, and holy crap, you're in the motherland right there. It's just euphoric every time you walk through those gates.
Yes, it is, as we've got qualifying out on the racetrack right now, and we'll pick up first the number 45 of Andrew Mraz. The Sim Coaches, number 45. So far, about half the field is out on the racetrack for qualifications. We have a total of 20 cars on the entry list here tonight. And one of the things that we heard a fair bit of in the pre-race Bizzle was that these guys might be a little bit concerned about how this thing's going to play out tonight. I guess you always have that little bit of apprehension in your brain that it's Daytona. Anybody can win it, but it also means a mess could happen at any time.
Yeah, anybody could win it, and anybody could lose it. I've seen races here where we've wrecked before the green flag. I've seen races here where we wrecked going into turn one in the first lap. I've seen races where they go green the entire way and just about everything in between. This track is unpredictable, it's tough, it's narrow, and it's close.
Yeah, I think close is one of the operative words here as Larry Bruner heads to the top of the speed charts with a lap of 49.747. Richard Fletcher, second quick. Johnny Avila slots in third. Andrew Mraz going to be fourth quick, followed by Hunter Waters in position number 5. Andrew Moore Jr. now moves himself up into the fourth position, waiting on just a handful of cars to get out onto the racetrack. Cody Porter, Adam Benefiel on pit lane. Still waiting to see from Anthony Handley, Jeff Yenish, and Doug Wysocki. We were here, I guess it was 2 seasons ago, that we saw Will Worsler dump Johnny Avila off at turn number 4 and pick up a win here. I believe last time we were here, oh, look at that. Money shift and spin from Andrew Mraz. That is well done, sir. Let's pick up Braden Carroll as well. He's also finished his qualification run. So we'll find the number 8 of Justin Rideout, the JW Racing number 8. We saw Richard Fletcher get his first career win in the SimSpeedShop.com Premier Series here. I guess that was 2 seasons ago, back in the spring. It always seems like the races in this league kind of follow the real world. You're going to get a great storyline late out of these shows.
Yeah, sometimes they could start out where they're all taking it very easy, kind of stay single file, and all of a sudden, You have guys like Kevin Dick, who's been out for a couple weeks, but he was always right up there with Johnny Avila fighting for the championships. You now have a guy like Braden Carroll, always up front there. I believe he just turned 18, so still very new to, I guess, being an adult, but still new to iRacing, new to sim racing in general compared to some of these other guys. Approaching their 30s and 40s, been doing this since NASCAR Racing 2003 and possibly even before that. So huge range of talent here in this field, and a lot of guys who are starting to make a name for themselves here in the Sim Racers Club.
Something you'll notice here, you'll see the little green bar going up and down on the graphics down there at the bottom. Roger Rios is not off the throttle. What's happening is the graphics package is basically trying to do the math and figure out if he's at full throttle or not. And it kind of determines based on how fast the car is accelerating and all sorts of other things. It ends up showing you a lot of false positives, but one thing you will notice is that the brake light will light up as well as these guys are in traffic, and that's going to be an interesting one to watch here tonight as Roger Rios goes up to 7th quick, but we've got a new quick time, Cody Porter in the 0-4. He finishes his run and is very quickly off the racetrack. 49.576 seconds for car number 0-4. A new challenger to the front of the field here this evening.
Yeah, I've noticed that graphic is a little spotty here on the ovals, where I guess it's hard to figure out what a driver is doing with their pedal inputs because there's so many things you can do to get the same result. But on the road courses, it's really good because what are you going to do down a straightaway other than hold it wide open? What are you going to do when you're slowing in, coming to the corner other than hit the brakes? So very, very useful graphic for the road courses, not so much these super speedway tracks.
Yeah, it shows you at least a decent idea of what the driver is doing in terms of speed, which speed and RPM, which are two pieces of data that iRacing does report to us in real time. As we are now down to 4 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Cody Porter, Anthony Handley on the front row. And it is tight. How about 4 1,000ths of a second separating those two? If you want to find a 10th, we're going to have to go all the way back to 15th place, Richard Fletcher. Absolutely insane. Hunter Waters, let's get the word into race control now. Should Hunter Waters be disqualified from the Hard Charger Award? Because he turned one lap at a 51.426. I think you have to make an actual attempt at qualifying. It's not just turn a lap at a medium pace.
Going forward, that is absolutely something that, hey, maybe for the next season should be written into the rules where you have to have, almost like we do for Fast Masters, kind of a 107% Formula One thing. But right now, the way the rule's written, you just have to make an attempt. You have to get a time on the board next to your name up there, and that's exactly what Hunter Waters has been doing. So if we get that 107% rule or whatever percentage they want to use, we can call it the Hunter Waters rule. But he's got out there and tried for Hard Charger that way every week. So if we haven't penalized the last 30 weeks, I don't think we can start tonight.
Yeah, we are getting the information from Race Control. Stages tonight will be at lap number 17 and lap number 38. Lap 38, just shy of halfway, is where we will see the yellow flag. I think with a little bit of caution flag running, these guys should be able to make that 38 laps. Here at Daytona, that kind of makes this a fairly easy one-stop race then. In theory, anyway.
Yeah, 38 laps. I want to say, if I'm remembering Talladega right, that would be cutting it close to Talladega. Daytona, I believe you can go 40 or 41, just because this track is 2.5 miles versus Talladega being just over 2.5.
Yep, 2.66 versus 2.5, and that it is a great point. You can go, 37, 35 laps, 38, whatever, at Talladega, but that does almost get you to 40 here at Daytona, because the other thing that comes into play is that Daytona is significantly narrower than Talladega is. A lot less room to work with, and quite frankly, a lot less time where you're kind of breathing that throttle when you're in the draft.
Yeah, Daytona, you're constantly on and off the throttle. This track is, I guess now with these new cars and the way they read it Atlanta is kind of that track where you have to get on and off the throttle a bit in the corners, even though it's a plate track. Here at Daytona, it used to be that way. These cars are more stuck, but it's still a very, very narrow track here.
Well, 60 seconds remaining in qualifying, and it looks like we will not see a lap entered by Richard Smith II, Doug Wysocki, Jeff Yenish, or Adam Benefiel. Richard Smith looks like he's on pit lane. And that 23 machine is going to get rolling, but with only 40 seconds left, not even going to get around on the outlap here. So may have had a little bit of a hardware issue there for Smith that trying to work the kinks out of here before we get rolling. This is definitely a place you don't want to have a hardware issue. You don't want to have a network connection issue. There's a whole lot going on. And quite frankly, we've seen, since this update that iRacing dropped, netcode issues in both the Silver Crowns and the PM18s. You have to think that maybe these drivers, they've been running other things over the course of the week. They have to know that there's been some netcode issues in a variety of cars.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of the new update to iRacing. We did just get a patch earlier today. So that might have fixed the netcode issue. Maybe, hopefully, it was just an issue on the back end of iRacing, or it could be an issue at some of the ISPs throughout the country where there's just a hiccup. I know there's been a lot of storms all over the country this week, so things like that can affect how the internet works.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. It's not just an individual's connection and whatnot, but there's, like we say, there's quite frankly, a variety of things that can come into play. But as the field is starting to populate their way in, let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup. Starting on the pole for Express Esports, driving a Toyota Camry, it's the number 04 of Cody Porter. Starting to his outside in the sim coaches, number 88 Chevrolet Camaro will be Anthony Handley. Row 2, 12 thousandths of a second back, the Team ZSS.com Zeem Speed Shop, number 63 of Johnny Avila, lining up alongside the Zeem Speed Shop teammate, the number 24, Braden Carroll. Row number 3, the Woodfather, number 28 Chevrolet Camaro of Troy Haight, lining up alongside of the JW Racing Chevrolet of Justin Rideout in the number 8. Row number 4 tonight will see the Weiss Markets, number 77 of Pennsylvania's Andrew Moore Jr., lining up alongside of Aguadilla, Puerto Rico's Roger Rios in the Superior Templating, number 5 Chevrolet. Row number 5, Tom Wilhite in the P1 Battery, number 19, lining up next to West Virginia's own Tyler Seville in the Chubby's Hunter's Fried Pickles, number 11. Row number 6 will be the Sim Coaches, number 45 of Andrew Mraz, alongside of teammate Quentin Clark, the number 42 Mach 5 Design Chevrolet. Row number 7, the Miller High Life 33 of Dean Gagliano. I love the paint scheme. It is absolutely gorgeous. Big old throwback there to Bobby Allison. Bobby Hillen ran that paint scheme, got his first career win at the Talladega Super Speedway back in 1986, I believe it was. Lining up alongside, outside of row number 7, will be the Will Worsler Racing University of Mountain Union Esports, number 14, AJ of AJ Digby. Row number 8, the Horizon Hobby, number 43 Ford Mustang of Richard Fletcher. He has a win here in the Sim Racers Club, lining up alongside of the Red Bull Chevrolet, the number 25 Larry Bruner. Row number 9, the Hunter's Fried Pickles Lost Chevrolet, number 7 in Newburgh, Indiana's Hunter Waters, lining up alongside of the number 89 of Jeff Yenish. That one should be the Rayo's Homemade Sauces paint scheme. We'll make sure that one's updated for you there, Jeff. Richard Smith II in the 23, lining up alongside of the number 34 Doug Wysocki. That will be on row number 10. And row number 11 will be the Brandt Chevrolet, the number 9 of Adam Benefiel. 21 cars on the grid for 200 miles, 80 laps here around the world center of racing. So many storylines to jump on early here. Johnny Avila picking up the win 1 week ago. And as we talked about, the change in work schedule, unfortunately, looks like it's going to keep Kevin Dick out of the car here for a while. That is unfortunate because, quite frankly, we'd like to see Kevin out here. Hopefully you're getting to at least watch the show, brother. But Fields making their way off at turn number 4. Pace truck makes the hard left-hand turn. And race fans, we're going to give you this one at home all alone. Go ahead and crank it up here at the start. Lap number 1 is going to go in the books, and it will be Anthony Hanley at the top of the board. He's going to have Braden Carroll tucked up right behind, Justin Rideout, Cody Porter, Johnny Avila, Roger Rios back there through 6. Oh, buddy, big swing by Braden Carroll down to the inside. He tries to block the lane off from Justin Rideout. And already, Bizzle, we're starting to see it. You've got to make the big blocks and make the moves and really manage the energy of the cars that are around you.
Yeah, you gotta almost drop back, get the huge run, give the shunt down the back straightaway, and then back right off when you get to the corner. Otherwise, you're going to turn it on the driver. But you let that gap get too big, the cars behind you are going to catch you. You leave the gap too small, you're not going to give a big shunt to the guy in front, and the cars behind you are going to catch you once again. So it's all about managing that air.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to give away the state secrets that we heard in the pre-race, but they're literally measuring in quarter of a car widths is what. Oh, there's one going around. Justin Rideout. We might have the big one here in turn 1. Huge wreck in turns 1 and 2. Caution flag is out. Lap number 3. Oh, you kind of saw that one start to develop. Justin Rideout in the 8, getting a little bit of a hook. Well, and quite frankly, that's all it took. Let's take a look here and see which camera we want to show you this one from. Let's see. Pick this one up here from Justin Rideout's car. A little bit of a tap there from Braden Carroll.
That almost looked like netcode there from Braden Carroll.
Yeah, it almost looked like the car just got sucked down into him. And, man, Tyler Seville, huge damage on that Chubby's number 11. Let's take a look here. See, we'll go on board with Tyler Seville, see if we can see what happened there. Oh, just absolutely nowhere to go. A lot of good race cars going to be used up very early in this one, Bizzle.
Yeah, unfortunately, a bunch of cars taken out. Looks like the only casualty is going to be Tyler Seville, so very unfortunate for him. But everyone else seeming to make it out all right.
Well, at least race cars that you could, race cars that you could drive back to pit lane. We'll say it that way, as we have most of the field making their way down pit lane, including Braden Carroll, Anthony Handley, Roger Rios, Cody Porter, Quentin Clark, Andrew Moore, Andrew Mraz, AJ Digby, Hunter Waters, Doug Vaisaki, Adam Benefield, Richard Smith, Justin Rideout, Jeff Yanish. It's probably easier to tell you who's not on pit lane at this point. That's going to be Johnny Avila, Troy Haight, Tom Wilhite, Dean Gagliano, Larry Bruner, and Richard Fletcher. Braden Carroll will be the first car off of the pit lane. I would think the early splash here makes it where you're definitely going to be able to get to the end of the stage on fuel. However, with the caution flag, you may be good enough to get there anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you would pit here, unless it's just a check tire wear and see what it's doing if you didn't get a chance to drive a couple laps in practice.
Let's see if we can't sneak in a quick word here with Tyler Seville, pilot of car number 11. And unfortunately, Tyler, it looks like at least very heavy damage, if not night ending for you there in the 11. And it kind of looked like everything just kind of broke loose in front of you. Tell us what happened from your perspective.
Just a reckless driver out there caused another pileup, as usual with him. But yeah, we'll see. I'm still towing back. We'll see how much damage I have, but my night's probably over.
Tough break for you, brother. Hopefully we're talking to you again next week under a little bit better circumstances here.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, thank you much, buddy. That's Tyler Seville. Clearly dejected and quite frankly pretty upset. We'll see if the word comes from race control. If anybody is, oh, there we go, getting the word now that it will be, looks like, let me see, let me confirm who that the penalty is who we got it here. The field is getting doubled up here. We have gotten the 1 to go signal, so it's going to be time to go back to green flag racing here in just a lap or so. And yep, we do have the official word here from race control. Car 04 will be getting an avoidable contact penalty. That is an EOL for this one. So Cody Porter going to have to head to the back of the field. Yeah, that was Cody Porter, actually, not Braden Carroll. That was all the way down on the inside of the racetrack. Made the contact with Justin Rideout. Roger Rios is still in the pits. Andrew Mraz is still in the pits. Tyler Seville, 4.5 minutes and counting on pit lane for the number 11 here. So I'll tell you what, Bizzle, this completely changes this race. Fewer of the Will Worsler racing cars up here at the front of the field to work together. You do have a couple of the Riot Motorsports and the Charity Motorsports cars are still out here as well. But now you're going to have a whole lot less of the built-in pairing up dynamic that we typically see here at Daytona.
Yeah, usually you see the Will Worsler guys absolutely taking over in these plate races. I don't think I've ever seen one of these where one of those guys have not won.
Well, we may not see a Will Worsler car in victory lane tonight here as Johnny Avila absolutely takes off, and Troy Haight, a little bit of a blink there very early on, but Tom Wilhite going to be looking down to the inside. He will claim the second position. Oh, man, the blinking out of Troy Haight. They're bumping through the corner, too. The 42 of Quentin Clark has to back off the bumper. And that is something that is written into the rule book of this league. Somebody complains about blinking, you very well could get parked.
Yeah, I believe it's first time you get a warning. Hey, just so you know, you're blinking. Maybe yell across the room and tell your significant other to quit watching something streaming on the TV. Next time it happens, hey, do you mind dropping to the back of the pack, see if this issue clears up? Then you're free to continue racing. Third time it happens, hey, pull it in the pit lane, park it, you can watch the NRN broadcast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And looks like Andrew Mraz and Tyler Seville may be doing that here, as both of those cars are still on pit lane. Interesting, we're actually seeing the sparks from Troy Haight, so it's like the server really has no idea where that race car is.
Yeah, I almost wonder if there's still either some sort of internet storm that's going on, which is Ooh, yeah.
Jeff Yenish banging it off the outside wall pretty hard.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it's an issue, maybe not so much on iRacing's end themselves, but the server farm that this race is being hosted on, which I would assume is the server farm up in Boston. I guess I'll do a quick weather report and check up what's going on in Boston. Maybe there's a big storm going on over there.
Well, yeah, it's funny that you say that, though. Let's take a look at the weather conditions here at the Daytona International Speedway. Man, that's almost like a segue. 77-degree ambient temperature. Racetrack is 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Moderate humidity, little bit of a breeze, but really not much, as Quentin Clark and Anthony Handley move themselves up to the head of the line. Quentin Clark up 11, and he's not the hard charger of the race. That is absolutely fantastic. That's going to belong to Richard Smith II, who's currently in the 6th position, up 13. Adam Benefield up 11 as well. A lot of guys taking advantage of the early race issues here, and quite frankly now I would tend to think this is kind of settle in and chill if you're a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and your weather update for the northeastern part of the U.S. There's absolutely no weather over Boston. The only major weather in the country right now is in between Chicago and Detroit and down in Tampa, Florida. So, as far as my knowledge, there's no major internet switches that would affect the entire field in any of those areas. So, either this is an issue on the iRacing end, what they updated for today, or some of these drivers need to get their stuff in order.
Yeah, it looks like Troy Haight has moved to the back of the pack. He is now running in the 16th position and, let's see, about 3.5 seconds back of the race leaders. He's paired up with Jeff Yenish. You see those two side by side a little bit further back. Towards the front of this pack, well, this is where things are, towards the back of the front pack, I should say. Things getting a little bit spicy. The 24, Braden Carroll up on the outside, along with the 04 of Cody Porter. Is Johnny Avila now going to make the move to the high side? Hunter Waters heads up there. Oh, man, Avila absolutely chops him. Oh, they're still sideways. Hold on to it, Johnny.
Oh, man, Johnny gets tagged from behind, somehow still keeps it under him through the grass, pointed the right direction. No caution, so that is unfortunate for Johnny Avila.
Wow.
He shuffled all the way to the back. He's going to need a caution to get back up there.
Yeah, if he doesn't need repairs to the race car as well. It took a couple of pretty big hits. Dean Gagliano got a little bit of a piece of that. Also, the 23 of Richard Smith II got a piece as well, as Johnny Avila was sliding through the infield. We're going to have to take another look at that one. That may be save of the year candidate for Johnny Avila. Off at turn number 2, gets the big run on the 88 of Anthony Handley. Slides out and absolutely takes the nose off of him. Handley nowhere to go. And Avila slip sliding through. I thought Richard Smith was going to finish him off there, but...
You know what? He saved the race car. That was a gutsy move, and that could have turned out a hell of a lot worse. So, maybe it's a wake-up call. Either A, don't try those moves this early in the race, or B, don't try those moves at all. You almost lost the race. Provided we get another caution before he goes a lap down, and he still has time to recover from that one.
Yeah, and even if he does, he likely would be the first car one lap down. So, in theory, all is not lost for Johnny Avila, because we will get the caution at lap number 38. The big one we're going to have, though, is the stage break coming up at the end of lap number 17. That's just a few laps away.
Yeah, unfortunately, Johnny Avila continuing the trend of not making it out on stage points.
That is correct. Happens, I don't want to say fairly frequently, but it does happen at least a good enough bit here that Johnny Avila seems to always have an issue somewhere in the stages.
It happens frequently enough that we're talking about it all the time.
Well, and quite frankly,
point.
It's a running joke in the Will Worsler Racing Team Discord as well. So they're going to put lap number 15 up on the scoreboard. Here come the Will Worsler boys. AJ Digby, Hunter Waters up on the outside. They want to take the top spot away from Braden Carroll. Anthony Hanley, Quentin Clark going to stay with those guys up on the top side. The 9 of Adam Benefield going to stick to the inside, but that's going to be a big gap to make up here. Top side will get Digby cleared, may get Hunter Waters cleared by turn number 3. I don't think Waters was clear, so Digby elects to stay up on the top side of the racetrack. They're going to keep trying to make this outside lane work. Anthony Handley almost clear of Braden Carroll, that time by the start-finish line. 2 to go in the stage. Oh, wow. That was non-consensual left side loving right there from the 88 of A.J. Handley. The Will Worsler cars are split up now here at the front as well. Digby leading the inside line. Hunter Waters leading the outside lane. Braden Carroll, huge shove down the backstretch on A.J. Digby. Coming down this time, it's going to be 1 lap remaining in stage number 1. And remember, we will not get a caution flag at the end of this one. Hunter Waters just absolutely bails out. No mas, get up top, get back in line. I will live to fight another day. Now Digby gets the inside lane moving just a little bit quicker. Oh, Adam Benefield, big slide to the inside. How in the world did he save that? That may have been contact with Handley again.
And you know what? He didn't lose the direct, I don't think. We'll have to see if he's dropping away. He is falling back a little bit, so I think he's just outside of that bubble.
Coming down to the start-finish line, green and white checkers will go in the air this time, and Braden Carroll will pick up the win in Northland Leisure stage number 1. Thank you very much to Northland Leisure for picking up the stage awards, fastest lap, biggest hard charger, and the biggest loser awards this season. Have to thank Real Assist and Mint Mortgage for coming on as sponsors of the Sim Racers Club. Also, Custom Paints and Diecast putting up a whole pile of awards, and also the entitlement sponsor, SimSpeedShop.com, for their support, and Sam, quite frankly, everything he does here for the Sim Racers Club. Take a breath. 20 to go in stage number 2. Breathing time is over, though, it feels like a little bit. Cody Porter in this double O really wants to get up front into the race lead here.
Yeah, he's all over that rear bumper of Braden Carroll.
So you have this lead pack, then we're going to slide back and pick up pack number 2. That one's going to be led by Richard Fletcher, have Andrew Moore Jr., Troy Haight, and Jeff Yanish in that one. Johnny Avila currently sitting in position number 17, tucked right up underneath the back bumper of Doug Wysocki. Roger Rios and Justin Rideout still on the racetrack, and everybody right now is on the lead lap with the exception of Andrew Mraz and Tyler Seville. All 21 cars, Mraz and Seville are both off the racetrack at this time. So 19 of the 21 still remain on the racing surface as we work our way through stage number 2. Something that could be interesting to see, Bizzle, is you could have, a lot of these cars could have optional damage to repair. Let the crew kind of bang the fenders out a little bit. I know they're carbon composites now and it's not the same, but little bits of damage that you get done under the stage break pit stop, we could see some of these cars come to life again. Johnny Avila being one of them.
Yeah, especially, I believe with the carbon composite bodies, they're allowed to replace the front and rear bumpers. So if that spoiler's damaged, it's sticking way up into the air, or you know, your diffuser's all screwed up, I think you're allowed to change those components of the car. Just cut them out and re-glue them on entirely.
Yeah, well, they're basically bolt-on parts now. I mean, I'm guessing it would be something more along the line of like a Zeus fastener or something, but my understanding is that these are not the kind of the welded panels that are massaged and, you know, loving hands still caress every inch of race cars, to quote Paul Page. That was the body of the early days up until these new carbon bodies came along. The new ones, you can now sort of unbolt them and replace a lot of these parts.
Yeah, these cars are very, very modular, and it's really been great for the teams because you wreck a race car 1 week, the next week you just ship all those parts up in another trailer coming up from Charlotte, and you can get that car rebuilt pretty easily. No longer are the long nights sitting in the garage on a Saturday night before the race, going out there and beating the car with the hammer and trying to get all the body panels straight again. You just cut it off, bolt the new one back on.
I can remember there were days here at Daytona and Talladega where a slight bit of contact and teams would roll out the backup car because the aerodynamics were that sensitive on these things. Now you'll see the teams, they can do this work and basically reskin the entire car in the garage area between practice Saturday and the race on Sunday. If it's not an impound. If it's an impound race, and don't add any extra tape to it in places either.
Yeah, the impound races are a little bit different, but yeah, actually NASCAR now, you're not allowed to work on the car overnight, are you? They blare a horn, you go out there, work on the car, they blare it again, you can't touch it again until the next day, right?
That is correct. Garage area does close. And I know that you can request special permission from NASCAR, but I would tend to think that is very rarely given now. And for the most part, it's really teams that are rolling out the backup car and are having to make things, all the driver comfort changes. They'll swap the seat, they'll swap the steering box, the wheel, the steering shaft, everything that the driver touches can be easily swapped from one car to another. Though that's more of what you see. It's more the driver comfort stuff that they're having to change any more of it. Now the race leader, Braden Carroll, starting to catch up on some lap traffic here. Roger Rios and Justin Rideout as the 42 of Quentin Clark is looking outside of Cody Porter.
Yeah, and driver comfort is a huge thing that's come about in the last probably 15 to 20 years. I've sat in a handful of stock cars that various drivers have driven. And the earliest one I've sat in was an early 2000s car from Greg Biffle. And while the steering wheel was a little close to my chest, it still kind of felt like a one-size-fit-all kind of deal where, yeah, he's a bit shorter than I am, but I can still fit into that car. Sitting in some of the modern Cup cars, depending on who has been driving that car, whether it was a Tony Stewart car or trying to think of another driver that I sat in was a bit shorter than me, but you could tell it's definitely designed specifically for that driver where my skinny ass doesn't really fit in the seat.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how that has all changed, even how the drivers prefer their air conditioning system. Some wear the cool suits and want the air flowing to there. Some have the helmet blowers. They want it running to there. And they are actually running air conditioners now. That used to be a big no-no because it would take power away from the engine. Now, because of how limited the motors are, you can run an air conditioning unit on these cars without it causing an issue or a drop in power.
Well, not only that, but Corvette Racing found the reason they ran in their Le Mans GT cars, they ran air conditioning because they found the more comfortable the driver is, the faster lap times they would run. If they turned the air conditioner off and the driver was sweating his nuts off, even if the car made an extra 15 horsepower, they were still running a tenth slower because the driver was not having a great time in that cockpit.
Yeah, they get miserable when you get super hot. As Braden Carroll moves back to the race lead, Cody Porter gave him the shove up into second. Quentin Clark, Hunter Waters battling for third, but now Clark having a look to the outside. Looks like Digby thought about going with Clark to the outside as we work lap number 28. Next time by, it'll be 10 to go here in stage number 2.
Oh man, Braden Carroll getting the shove, getting thrown below that yellow line.
Oh, we've got yellow. Big incident. We've got another big one down the back straightaway.
Did I just see a car get thrown up into the air like a frisbee?
Quite
Can we get
possibly.
a replay of that shot specifically?
Yes. Looks like, let's see, Adam Benefield may have been involved. AJ Digby was involved. Let's take a look here and see. That was the hood of AJ Digby's car. Adam Benefield is involved. Justin Rideout is involved. That hood flew for a long way.
Now, I don't think I've ever seen a hood get released from a car, so that might have been another thing with this last update to iRacing, to the new damage model on these things, where parts now detach, because that was freaking cool.
Take a look and see what happened here. Looked like Anthony Hanley into the back of AJ Digby, just got him turned.
Oh man, that thing got some air.
Yes, it did. Dean Gagliano got a big piece. Adam Benefield got a large piece of this as well. So now as we pick up your race leaders, we will wait on the information on a possible penalty that could be assessed. But this is now a little bit surprisingly, Bizzle. This is turning into a race of attrition.
Yeah, which is very surprising for the Sim Racers Club. Usually I want to say we almost never talk about a race of attrition with these guys, but Daytona's going to be Daytona sometimes.
Following the number 88 of Anthony Handley onto pit lane, that car definitely damaged on the front end. You can see the nose kind of crushed in just at kind of the very front of the right wheel well there. So Hanley's going to come down, take tires. Troy Haight, Andrew Moore, Tom Wilhite, Gagliano, Yenish, Smith, Benefield, Rideout, Digby, all on pit lane. Andrew Moore Jr. going to be the first car off of pit lane, followed by Troy Haight, Richard Smith, as Hanley's going to have some repair work to do here. So now getting the word from race control. Car 88 EOL, cause of caution. That is the number 88 of Anthony Handley. So even if he does get off of pit lane pretty quickly here, it will be an end-of-line restart. Let's run you back through the field here and give you an idea of who's still on the racetrack and who is on the lead lap here. Braden Carroll is your race leader. He's led 18 of tonight's circuits. That car has been pretty darn spectacular here early on in this race. Running in second is the 04 of Cody Porter. That car already overcoming an EOL penalty. Very quickly able to make his way back towards the front of the field. The 42 of Quentin Clark runs in the third position. Starting 12th, he has gained 9 positions to run in the third position. Hunter Waters up 13 and not the hard charger. We'll get to that one in just a moment. As the lights are out, we are 1 lap to green. Richard Fletcher currently runs in the 5th position. Doug Wysocki is 6th, and he is your hard charger of the night. Well, sort of. Lining up alongside of Johnny Avila for the restart. Let's take a look here at the front of the field. Row number 1 will be Braden Carroll and Quentin Clark. Row 2 will have Cody Porter and Hunter Waters. Row 3, the 34 of Doug Wysocki and the 43 of Richard Fletcher. Row 4, down on the inside, the 25 of Larry Bruner and the 63 of Johnny Avila. Johnny taking advantage of some of the issues that these other cars have had, getting himself back up inside the top 10. Row number 5, looks like it'll be Andrew Moore Jr. and Richard Smith II. Troy Haight, Jeff Yennis, Tom Wilhite, and Dean Gagliano. Also Roger Rios on the lead lap. Anthony Hanley, Adam Benefield making their way back out onto the racing surface. They will start 16th and 17th respectively. Justin Rideout is on the racetrack, but he is 1 lap down to the race leaders. AJ Digby still on pit lane, Andrew Mraz on pit lane, and Tyler Seville, the first car out of tonight's race. Taking a look at the point standings in the Mint Mortgage fall season, Tyler Seville entered the night as your points leader, sitting on 99 points, 5 points back Garrett Johnston and Quentin Clark. As the Pace truck is in 5th place, Mike Larch, also not in this race. Garrett Johnston did not start in this one as well, as the green flag goes back in the air. And we are racing once again here at Daytona. Good start for Carroll and Porter. They're going to get the early jump. Quentin Clark, Hunter Waters, now going to slide down to the inside. They'll pop in to the 3rd and 4th positions, followed by the 43 of Richard Fletcher and the 63 of Johnny Avila. That pairing...
Johnny Avila is aggressively pushing Richard Fletcher.
You're giving Fletch the shove, and quite frankly, that's how we saw Richard Fletcher get to victory lane here. It was Johnny Avila on his back bumper. Now Hunter Waters going to tuck in line, so the 3 remaining Will Worsler cars all nose to tail, running in 3rd, 4th, and 5th position. As it stands now, Quentin Clark going to slide back down into 6th. We work lap number 33. Next time by, it'll be 5 to go here in stage number 1. Fletcher and Waters up on the outside. Avila going to get a great run up underneath the 0-4 of Porter off at turn 2. It was really interesting listening to those discussions in the pre-race about where you had to position your car. It was very technical in nature, and how you could be in this spot and it would have a positive effect. You move a little bit right or left and it had a negative effect, but then if you got a little bit further out, you were back to it being a positive again. It was actually pretty enlightening as somebody that likes to do the plate racing, to see that this is the level of detail that you have to think about car placement in the draft here.
Yeah, this new Gen 7 car is a completely different animal than any of the plate racing I had done. I was always doing it in the Gen 6 car, so this thing is a whole different beast, and frankly, I have to get back into it just so I know what I'm talking about with it anymore, but it seems to be way, way more complex than it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be the side draft could be used almost as a slingshot. The old Days of Thunder sweet and low packet slingshot maneuver, but where it would give you a speed boost off of the car. Now the drivers almost feel like, wow.
No, the side draft never gave you a speed boost. It's always been slowing the car next to you down. What you're doing is you're moving air off of the front fender of your car and pushing it up and over their quarter panel into their rear wing, basically dumping a whole bunch of air on their rear wing to slow them down.
I'll tell you what, that was a great save by Richard Fletcher and Johnny Avila at the front of this line. They'll be 2 by 2. Teammate Hunter Waters tucked up behind Fletcher. Quentin Clark Now going to go inside, make it 3 wide for the lead through the tri-oval. That's a gutsy move by Quentin Clark, and it's going to hang Johnny Avila out to dry a little bit. He's going to have to tuck back inside behind Roger Rios. Where did Roger Rios come from? He started 8th, runs in 6th, but that car was way towards the back of the pack. May have been involved in that first incident of the night, if I remember correctly. Shows you how powerful the draft is here at Daytona. It is actually pretty incredible how much damage you can have on a race car and still be really competitive.
Yeah, when you're in the draft, the aero doesn't matter so much. You need a, not a pristine car, but a good car to go out there and run up front. But to run and finish second, you can run a hoopty out there and still do all right.
Johnny Avila forcing his way up into the middle. He's going to have, looks like Braden Carroll right behind him. Now Avila gets hung out again. Oh, man, these cars are dancing all over the place here at the front. Braden Carroll, Cody Porter were at the front of the field just a couple of minutes ago. They now run 4th and 5th. Oh, my goodness. Fletch all the way down to the inside. Avila, Waters, and Fletcher were all sideways off of turn number 4 as we are on lap number 38, final lap here of stage number 2. Andrew Moore Jr., he's going to want the stage win for Pie-Eyed Racing tonight. Oh, as Carroll goes for a slide down to the inside. He's able to save it, but it's going to knock him outside of the stage points. Do we see Andrew Moore Jr. make a move coming to the line? I don't think he's going to have the time. Green and white checkered goes in the air. Quentin Clark picks up the win in stage number 2. And that will bring out the caution flag. Oh my goodness, that was another exciting finish to a Northland Leisure stage here at Daytona, and Quentin Clark picks up the win here in stage number 2. So now they'll have to get bundled up behind the iRacing pace truck. Braden Carroll at the end of that stage actually falling back to the 13th position. Now it looks like these guys have gotten the catch the pace car notification from iRacing. So we still will not have the pits open this time. Now the field's going to get caught up. Watch how you back it down here on the back straightaway though. So this time by, pit lane will be open for lead lap race cars. Quentin Clark picking up the big bonus points there for getting the stage win. Andrew Moore, Roger Rios, Cody Porter, Johnny Avila, Hunter Waters, Richard Fletcher, Doug Wysocki, Larry Bruner, and Tom Wilhite all picking up points here in Northland Leisure stage number 2. Now, I would tend to think, Bizzle, you're going to make the stop here and should, in theory, be good to go to the finish.
You're going to be close. By my math, a Gen 6 car, you can get about 41 laps on a tank of fuel. With these things are same engine, the same fuel tank, you should be able to go the same distance. But sometimes the math doesn't work out like that. However, I do think we could see another caution, and that would definitely bring them to making that checkered flag.
Andrew Moore Jr. going to win the race off of pit road. 6.5 seconds, the time of the stop for the 77, followed by Richard Smith II, Roger Rios, Quentin Clark, and Troy Haight. They will be the top 5. So now we're going to, again, do the chase down the pace car game. Although this one worked out pretty well. Looks like, trying to see, I think that was the 45 of Andrew Mraz that stayed out on the racetrack. He will get the wave around when the field gets the 1 to go signal. I'll tell you what, Patrick, looking at the upcoming schedule for these guys, things don't get any easier for the Sim Racers Club. These guys will be off next Wednesday night, but they come back to run the month of October at Bristol, Kansas, and Darlington. 3 racetracks that are not exactly easy to get around. Kansas maybe being the easier-ish of the 3, but Bristol is, well, it's Bristol, and Darlington is, well, Darlington.
Yeah, and even Kansas definitely the easiest out of 3, but I would never put Kansas into the easy category. That track is another one like Chicagoland, but with a little bit less banking. So never going straight there. It's almost a mile and a half that races like a short track.
And these guys, quite frankly, always put on a good show when we head out there to those mile and a halves. But now it's time for the field to get doubled up, and on the front row will be the number 77 of Andrew Moore Jr. To his outside, the number 5 of Roger Rios. The 23 of Richard Smith II will line up inside of row number 2, and on his outside will be the 42 of Quentin Clark. Row number 3 will have the 88 of Anthony Handley and the 28 of Troy Haight. And then it's going to be a long single-file line. Tom Wilhite, Larry Bruner, Dean Gagliano, Johnny Avila, Jeff Yenish, Cody Porter, and Hunter Waters back to the 13th position, followed by Richard Fletcher, Braden Carroll, Doug Wysocki, Justin Rideout, and Adam Benefiel. And with this few cars up on the outside line, these guys almost could be hung out to dry. But a guy like Johnny Avila, you just know he's going to try to take advantage of this restart somehow and pass 3 or 4 cars.
Yeah, he has been the king of these restarts. You see him hanging out there below that yellow line. You know he's going to make some kind of fancy move here on the restart.
Yeah, it's basically how the restart procedure works with the restart zone. Once the leader goes, everybody can go. As Andrew Moore jumps on the loud pedal, we are back to green flag racing. He's going to slide up in front of Roger Rios and Quentin Clark. Here comes Richard Smith II. Oh, man, but he's going to get hung out. Anthony Handley staying up on the outside along with Troy Haight. Tom Wilhite and Larry Bruner are going to get great runs down on the inside, though. Bringing Dean Gagliano in the 33 with him. Oh, and here comes Avila. Huge run up the middle. Going to have Jeff Yenish absolutely plastered onto his back bumper. Avila and Yenish both able to clear. They make their way down to the inside lane. Troy Haight staying up on the outside. Now Cody Porter slides to the inside, takes a little bit of the front end off of Richard Smith II. Andrew Moore Jr. will lead the lap, but here comes Johnny Avila. You know what? We haven't done one of these in a little bit. Let's let Bizzle and I be quiet for a minute. Y'all go ahead and crank this one up. Absolutely fantastic shot out of turn 2 there. Roger Rios at the head of the line has Quentin Clark giving him the shove into turn 3. Andrew Moore Jr. with Johnny Avila tucked up underneath the deck lid. I would think Bizzle maybe a little bit early to be going crazy. But at the same time, you really don't want to be shuffled back and have to try to make your way up here from, even where Tom Wilhite is in 12th. He's still sitting about 0.6 of a second off the lead.
I was going to say, this is Daytona. Unless you can get yourself up there on that high line that seems to be dominating right now, if you're on the low line, you got to make those crazy moves. Either A, to get up to the high line and get back single file with these guys, or B, make your way up through this field. There's no time to sit and relax, because you can end up like Johnny Mueller right there. Oh, he sneaks up to the high side, but he almost got hung out to dry in the middle, which is always a scary scenario here.
It's not pleasant at all, the way these cars are sliding around. Oh man, big dive down to the inside. Trying to see which car that was. I think it might have been... Looks like about 4th, 5th place. Actually, it's Andrew Mraz in the 45 trying to get himself back up towards the lead lap. That car 13 laps down. Got to be a little bit frustrating for these guys down on the inside lane. But that's part of what you have to deal with here too, Bizzle. I mean, it's literally catch a lap car at the wrong place in energy, and it can cost your lane 5 or 6 spots. And then you have to work to fight and bring that all back too.
Yeah, it takes so long to get that momentum back. And the reason the high line tends to dominate here at Daytona is because you can hold it wide open so much easier up there. The bottom line is wide open, but one little hiccup and you have to step out of it. Especially with cars up there to your high side, you have to step out of it because that is your escape path that's now blocked by those cars up there.
Yeah, you kind of have nowhere to go if you're the cars to the inside, at least in the corners anyway. Down the straights, you can get below the double yellow line. Race control is going to look at it if you pass somebody. You can't improve your position below that line. Looks like, though, the 45 of Mraz is now starting to get that car back up on full steam again. And the inside lane starting to make up a bunch of ground. But even for, like, Roger Rios at the front, you're seeing a lap car in the relative. It can even just throw you off a little bit. You're used to seeing everybody's in white. The lap cars on the relative are in blue. Lapped cars are in blue, and cars that you're a lap down to are in red. You get used to looking for the colors and seeing, it doesn't really matter who, just that a car is coming. But now you're seeing a blue car that's in blue at the head of the field. It can be a little distracting to a driver.
Yeah, because you know it's coming, you know where it's... You're almost trying to plan where it's going to happen, kind of slowing the whole pack down if you're the leader. Either A, trying to get it to happen on the straightaway if you're the low car, get the lap car to move basically down below that yellow line and just letting the whole field go, or if you're on the high side and kind of stuck, or better yet, you're in that second position, you're going to push and hopefully you catch him in the corners, slow that leader down, and the leader's going to have to check up and allow you to get by him.
Well, and now Richard Fletcher is your race leader, the second car in line. Roger Rios making a big move off the corner. He's going to try to take the lead at the start-finish line. Oh, buddy, that was not much. Call it about 4/1000ths of a second at the line. But Fletch is used to being the guy that's pushing, not the guy getting pushed. This could work out to his advantage if we stay like this for another 10 or 15 laps or so.
Yeah, this could get wild. And we see a guy like Richard Fletcher now up there to second position. I believe his only win this year so far did come here at the Daytona International Speedway, so he's going to be hungry for another one. He knows he can get it here.
Yeah, Fletch getting the win off the bumper of Johnny Avila with the big shove in the season opener a couple of seasons ago, but right now it's going to be Roger Rios and Quentin Clark. Oh, man, that was almost 3 wide coming out of the tri-oval. And that's not an easy thing to do. This is not the big, wide, kind of arcing tri-oval of Talladega. It more feels like it's a turn than it is kind of that dog-leggy kind of D shape.
Yeah, and the tri-oval usually isn't much of an issue here on this newer version of Daytona after the repave. But it's still very, very tricky. The car wants to push up. There's not nearly as much banking as there is in turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the tri-oval is definitely a spot where a lot of carnage can happen. We saw that a couple years ago with Austin Dillon's wreck, where he got up into the catch fence through the tri-oval.
Yeah, right about here is where that car came to a stop in one of the scariest hits we've seen, quite frankly, in a long time. And it was a year after Kyle Larson had a similar wreck in the Xfinity Series. And only a year or two later, you had Ryan Newman's big crash. It seems like for whatever reason, the tri-oval is where things can get messy. Although here off of turn number 2, my goodness, that was... I think that was Richard Fletcher getting way down to the inside. Oh, and possibly a connection issue for Fletch here. That car has just absolutely disappeared off the racetrack. It's still currently sitting third on our timing and scoring window. You see the updated graphics there, but yeah, now Richard Fletcher falls back down to the 13th position. And quite frankly, even farther than that. What a tough break for Fletch. This is like the race that nobody wants to win.
Yeah, and that's the problem with, I don't want to say the problem, but something that happens here at Daytona is nobody wants to lead until you get to the last lap.
Oh, Hunter Waters, Justin Rideout making big contact. Waters all the way down to the pit lane apron. He's going to lose a ton of time. Just caught Justin Rideout in a bad spot. Hunter Waters absolutely shoved him through turn 4. Ordinarily, you would say maybe you want to run a little bit closer to the back of the pack. The problem is now with 26 or so laps to go, even if something happens in front of you, you still may end up collected in it.
Yeah, my strategy at the plate track's always to be in front of the wreck. If I can't get all the way to the front, being that like top 4 group of cars, I want to be all the way at the back, just kind of sitting and waiting. But now we get the 25 laps to go, and even further, your only option is to get to the front of the field. You can't sit and wait back there in 15, 16 position all race, or that's where you're going to finish.
Johnny Avila doing a little side drafting off of Roger Rios. Wow, big swing. That was a Kyle Busch level swing off of turn 2 for Avila to get up into that outside lane. Now again, Andrew Mraz at the front of the line, down on the inside. He slides up top, gets in front of Roger Rios, opens the door for Jeff Yenish to look inside. Top 3 starting to break away ever so slightly. not anymore. The draft pulls everybody right back in together. Got to thank everybody that's tuned in on YouTube here, and make sure you get the comments and the shout-outs in here. We can get them up on the air for you. Don't text and drive, though. Oh, big shove for Rios. Mraz way down onto the grass. You kind of figured that would be coming at some point. Oh, man, these guys are all over the place at the front. Big run coming from, let's see, looks like it's going to be about 5th place. Roger Rios, the 42, and Quentin Clark as well. Cody Porter back to the front of the field. Braden Carroll runs 2nd. Johnny Avila 3rd. Quentin Clark sitting in 4th. Roger Rios and Jeff Yenish. Looks like that's the 88 of Anthony Handley that's in the middle of this one now as well. Handley being scored 2 laps down to the race leaders, but he is the 5th car in line. I don't know that this is one of them, but I know that there are some leagues that when you get down to like 20 to go at the plate tracks, race control will get on the mic and say, hey, car number X, time to pull out of line and let the leaders go at it.
Yeah, you can, but here on the ovals, that is not usually what happens. It happens a lot in local short track racing, but here in the big league kind of super speedway thing, you don't have to let the leaders by. It's nice to do, but you don't have to.
Yeah, a lot of times it more comes down to even just the gentleman's agreement type thing of, I know if I'm battling for the lead, I don't want a lap car in my way. I'm not going to be that lap car.
Yeah, and with, I say probably less than 10 laps to go, you're probably not getting back in the lead lap. The race is mostly over for you. You're only out there just in case something happens, trying to scrounge up any points you can. So with less than 10 laps to go, I'm not sure I would fight back with the leaders. But still with 20 laps to go, there's still a lot of time for something to happen. So I'm absolutely going to fight back and hopefully not let them by.
You are that guy, too. We talked about that during the Charlotte Roval. You're not an easy guy to get around. Very Ryan Newman-esque in that matter. You're going to have to earn it if you want to get past you. And quite frankly, Anthony Handley kind of seems like one of those guys, too. He's not going to make it easy on you.
Yeah, I'm getting lapped for a reason. Obviously, you're faster than me, but you're going to have to prove it, and you're going to have to get by me. I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to cut you off when you go to make the move, but you are going to have to find a way around me.
Roger Rios trying to give the shove to Handley up on the outside of the racetrack, but it seems like that lane gets put together and then they're falling apart and put together and falling apart as Quentin Clark makes the move on Johnny Avila for position number 3. That's going to put 2 Will Worsler racing cars nose to tail, though. Hunter Waters now in position number 4. He is your hard charger of the race. Up 13 spots. Richard Smith II also up 13. Jeff Yenish up 9. Quentin Clark, Doug Wysocki up 7. Adam Benefield now up 8 as well. It's almost starting to feel a little bit like the calm before the storm here. Drivers, especially guys like Johnny Avila and Hunter Waters, they can talk in their Discord and kind of plan out when they want to make the move. It's frustrating for Quentin Clark. He doesn't have any drafting help behind him. The outside lane isn't there yet. But you're not going to get these guys to make the move until it's time, until the team decides it's time for Johnny Avila and Hunter Waters to make the move.
Yeah, those two are definitely going to work together. And Johnny Avila and Braden Carroll, those guys are teammates outside of Sim Racers Club. They might not be teammates here in this points championship, but they are teammates elsewhere. So those guys, obviously friendly, are going to try and either work together or work actively against each other because they are friends elsewhere, and kind of having a friendly competition to see who's better. I'm not sure of that specific dynamic, but we'll have to see how those two work together.
Johnny Avila way up underneath of Braden Carroll now. Gives Carroll a little bit of a shove into turn 3. Quentin Clark able to get ahead of Anthony Hanley. Hanley now, wow, almost got caught out in the middle. Catching up to another lap car up here on the outside. That's going to be Richard Fletcher. Able to get back out onto the racetrack after the connection issue, it looked like, was resolved. Either a power failure, connection issue. I mean, that car just flat disappeared. Braden Carroll giving the big shove to Cody Porter. And quite frankly, those guys being packed up as tight as they are, that can make life kind of difficult on Johnny Avila because you can't back off to get the run. That's going to open too many doors for other people. But if you stay that close to him, you can't necessarily build the momentum to pull out and make the pass.
Yeah, to make the pass, you do have to back way off them and get the huge run. But the problem with backing way off of them is you're going to allow those guys behind you to get that run on you, and they're going to try and make the move, as we see. Looks like the 23 car jumped up there trying to make the move now on that outside
Yeah,
lane.
Richard Smith II kind of got shoved into the outside lane. You can see Johnny Avila and Hunter Waters starting to back off of your top two ever so slightly. But that little bit of a backup really caused a shuffle in the pack here deep. Quentin Clark making the move on the outside. He got a huge run on Hunter Waters. How about the run for Dean Gagliano? He was backwards at one point early in this race, now running up in the 6th position in the Miller High Life number 33. Everybody ahead of Dean. Make way. Let's put that Bobby Allison car in victory lane here tonight. I say in jest. Allegedly. I tell you what, I thought that gap had opened up a little bit for Avila and Hunter Waters, but Quentin Clark able to run kind of a middle line through the tri-oval, really stopped the run from developing. Clark, Smith, Handley, Rios, and Yenish up on the high side now. That lane is starting to come in ever so slightly. Now we're getting down to 12 laps to go, and it is absolutely go time here. It's not the Daytona of old, Bizzle, where you could kind of make that slingshot move with 1 to go if you were 2nd or 3rd. You almost have to start making the attempt to pass with 3 or 4 laps to go is what it feels like, unless you're going to make the move off of 4.
Yeah, you have to almost play chess with the driver in front and try and fake them out, and unless you're going for the photo finish and an opportunity.
Oh,
man.
Here we go. Big one, turn 3. Avila's involved. Gagliano's in the middle. Yenish, Rios, Richard Smith II. And we are under caution again, the 3rd big one of the night here at the Daytona International Speedway.
Well, I was going to say, the only time you're going to make the move off of 4 or anything like that is if the door opens itself. Otherwise, you do have to build it up. But now with the caution towards the end of the race, I feel like we're going to have a whole bunch more. Oh, man. 23 car just gets down into Hunter Waters and Avila and breaks that pair right apart.
Hold on a second. Let's go back and watch this one again from the onboard of Larry Bruner.
Barely clips a couple
tiny
cars.
little bits of contact. What a piece of driving by Larry Bruner. Well done, sir. So now going back to the live look, it'll be 10 laps to go when we come by the start-finish line this next time by. The 04 of Cody Porter is your race leader, followed by Braden Carroll, Quentin Clark, Hunter Waters, Larry Bruner, Adam Benefield, Johnny Avila, and Andrew Moore Jr. I would think we're going to see a handful of cars down pit lane this time, only because it looked like a lot of them picked up damage in that incident. As the 9's going to come in and make his pit stop. Johnny Avila heading down pit lane. Let's take a look at the 63. Does not have a set of tires to go on that car. This is entirely damage repair for Johnny Avila. So let's get you the look here at who's doing what off of pit lane. Quentin Clark stays out on the racetrack, as does Hunter Waters and Larry Bruner. They will be your top 3. Cody Porter, Braden Carroll, Andrew Moore Jr., Tom Wilhite, Doug Wysocki back to the 8th position. Looks like, well, no, I thought Jeff Yenish was coming off of pit lane, but he's just getting to his box. Johnny Avila up over 48 seconds on pit lane. Troy Haight back inside the top 10, now in the 9th position. But it looks like we will have only 9 cars currently circulating behind the iRacing pace truck.
That is a lot of the field taken out of this thing, but now we have 9 cars basically ready to go in full send. What's the worst you have to lose? You're going to finish 9th?
That's exactly
Still
it.
A top 10 finish.
Roger Rios getting back out onto the racetrack in the 10th position. Looks like Richard Smith II able to get back out onto the racetrack as well. He's making his way off of pit lane. Dean Gagliano making his way out of the pit lane as well. No word from race control yet on if there will be a penalty assessed on this one. The other big question is, are we down to the 1 to go signal? It looks like we are. Field is going to start choosing. Quentin Clark elects to take the outside lane. Hunter Waters, Larry Bruner taking the inside. Seeing the 43 of Richard Fletcher, he will start to make his way towards the back. We may only have 1 car on the outside lane here for this restart. No, there we go. Braden Carroll now starting to form in line. So the field lined up for the restart. It will be Quentin Clark as the control car on the outside. Hunter Waters will restart second down to his inside. Everybody else will be 2 by 2. That will be Larry Bruner and Braden Carroll on row number 2. Row 3 will be Cody Porter and Andrew Moore Jr. Row number 4, Tom Wilhite and Doug Wysocki. And everybody else that's coming off of pit lane will have to line up single file. I honestly don't know how you pick a winner in this one, Bizzle. Larry Bruner is a very new face to the league, having a great run here tonight. Cody Porter, another new name, Doug Wysocki. We really don't know a lot about these guys and what their style is going to be late in these races.
Yeah, they're pretty new drivers here to the series, and I don't think we've ever seen them here on any plate track.
Yeah, haven't seen them on the plate tracks, and sometimes, I mean, it's happened to me where you're going, hey, I shouldn't be up here, but I am here, so I'm going to go like hell and give this thing a run. You really don't know how this is going to shake out as the green flag goes in the air, and we are back underway.
Just fake it till you make it.
That is exactly right. Quentin Clark, Braden Carroll going to lead the field down into turn number 1.
I've gotten the majority of my official iRacing wins by finding myself in the lead somehow and somehow just hanging on.
That's exactly it.
My first ever win here on the iRace platform was a B-Class late model race, probably a decade ago at this point, at the USA International Speedway. The whole field wrecked in front of me. I started like 15th or something in that race. The entire field wreck, I dazed and thundered my way through it, and I looked behind me, and I'm 30 seconds ahead of second place. Held on for 40 laps and took the checker flag.
How about Doug Wysocki down to the inside? And don't look now, everybody, but Johnny Avila is on the charge.
Johnny Avila, nothing to lose. He's had a wrecked race car probably 7 times tonight. Frankly, his race was done a whole bunch of times, so why not end it once more? Full send to the front.
Yeah, and see, now this is where you start to get a little bit of, are we seeing not necessarily team orders coming into play, but teammates are not going to make life easy. Andrew Mraz is multiple laps down in 19th position, right up there in the middle of this battle. Where that becomes important is his teammate Quentin Clark is your race leader. Mraz bringing Roger Rios with him up to the inside. And with 6 laps to go, that's almost a built-in pick for these guys.
Yeah, but Braden Carroll is friendly to Johnny Avila. Now, I don't know their dynamic here in the Sim Racers Club, but outside of Sim Racers Club, those guys are close friends and great teammates. So, will they work together here tonight, or maybe are they working against each other, and this is kind of a competition to see who's better here in the Sim Racers Club?
Well, both cars have Zeem Speed Shop on the side of them. Now with 6 laps to go, it'll be 5 this time by the start-finish line. Quentin Carroll, Braden Clark, Andrew Moore Jr., your top 3. Here comes Carroll down to the inside. He wants a piece of the race lead. Going to bring the 04 of Porter and the 63 of Avila with him. Quentin Clark hung out to dry. Andrew Moore trying to give him the shove off at 2. Avila does not have help in the way of a teammate there towards the front of the field, though. Hunter Waters stuck back on that outside line. Now he ducks down inside. Oh, man, this is going to get spicy. 4 to go here at Daytona. Roger Rios slides up in front of Mraz. Tries to pick up the energy, but all it did was open the door for Doug Wysocki and Hunter Waters to get down to the inside. Teammates are getting ever closer together. Now Wysocki gets shuffled out into the middle. Waters going to be tucked up right behind Avila as they get to 3.
There we go. The teammates are together in those 2 green cars now. Frankly, me myself, I've run a green car before, but I've never had any luck. I've always found green cars to be unlucky, kind of sticking with that superstition from the 60s. So, seeing if they can make it work here tonight at Daytona.
Well, there's a pretty sizable gap, well, at least there was, between Hunter Waters and Johnny Avila through the tri-oval that time. almost like they're trying to test out where they need to be to make the run happen. Quentin Clark's gone from the race lead to all the way back to the 10th position. Tom Wilhite getting shuffled out onto the apron. Everybody comes through cleanly that time. There's 2 to go here at Daytona. When do we see the move from Johnny Avila and Hunter Waters? Overtime is a possibility here in the Sim Racers Club. So you don't have to necessarily worry about running out of time. But it feels like it's going to take a pretty monster run from Johnny Avila and Hunter Waters if they want to get something done here. Especially if Cody Porter plays, for lack of a better term, good teammate and just stays up underneath the bumper of Braden Carroll. But white flag is out, 1 to go. When are we going to see the move happen? Are we going to see it? Avila and Waters tucked up super tight off of 2. Quentin Clark starts the move up to the outside. Porter stays up underneath the Carroll. Avila's right there as well. But here comes, Quentin Clark's going to get turned. Jeff Yenish will be involved. We'll stay under green to the finish. Off at turn number 4, checkered flag in the air. Braden Carroll picks up the win at Daytona. Cody Porter, Johnny Avila will round out your podium. Hunter Waters and Roger Rios complete the top 5.
Another lap. I think Porter was there and he could have gotten it.
Yeah, that one was, I was a little bit surprised that we didn't see more of a move out of Cody Porter late in this race. But Braden Carroll picking up the race win here tonight. And quite frankly, a pretty darn fantastic show out of the Sim Racers Club. 3 big ones. There it is, the Zeem Speed Shop. TeamZSS.com, number 24, Braden Carroll going to do the donuts and burn them down here on the front straightaway. That is a good-looking race car, too. Cody Porter, one of the team cars, you kind of figured probably wouldn't make the move, but towards the end of this thing, you still got to go at some point. Time to go. Only 71 thousandths of a second separating Cody Porter from your race winner, Braden Carroll. Johnny Avila, less than 0.2 of a second, back in 3rd. Hunter Waters, Roger Rios complete the top 5, followed by Adam Benefield, Doug Wysocki, Troy Haight, Tom Wilhite, and Larry Bruner. Quentin Clark coming home in the 11th position. Andrew Moore Jr. 12th. 13th to Jeff Yenish. 14th, Dean Gagliano. He will be the last car on the lead lap. Richard Smith II, 1 lap down in 15th, followed by Anthony Handley, Richard Fletcher, Justin Rideout, Andrew Mraz, A.J. Digby. And all alone on the final page of the leaderboard is the number 11 of Tyler Seville. Pretty darn good show we got here tonight. Let's take a look here and see who we have who we can talk to. Well, let's bring in our race winner tonight, Mr. Braden Carroll. And, man, I'll tell you what, Braden, you had a heck of a shove from teammate Cody Porter there coming down to the end of this thing. And congratulations, man, a really nice drive tonight to pick up the win.
Thanks. I think that was as good as a Daytona race can get. I feel like apart from your usual like shenanigans, I thought everybody did pretty good.
Yeah, it was a really good show. I was surprised that we had 3 big ones, because with a 21 car field, ordinarily you can't wreck that many times. But we managed to have 3 pretty large wrecks tonight. It seemed like everybody had a little bit of damage. How do you process that as a driver, where you're just kind of looking at the night going, I don't know what's going to happen next and if I'm going to be the guy getting turned?
Well, I got turned once. I was hoping that wasn't going to happen again on the final lap. Cody was jacking me up. And I'm surprised he didn't make a move. I'm glad he didn't make a move. Johnny didn't really make a move either. That was good fun.
Yeah, I guess you'll take those, and quite frankly, taking a look here at where you sit in the point standings, is we're now 3 full races into this thing. Tyler having an off night tonight. Quentin had a pretty decent night, but Garrett Johnston wasn't here. Mike Larch wasn't here. You're going to be up towards the top of the point standings after this one as well.
I was doing the math, and I'm definitely at the top, but that just getting the scooted out of the way right at the last lap of stage 2 kind of messed me up because I didn't get any points there. I was probably would have gotten a good top 5, definitely a top 10 because there's only 10 cars in the lead pack, but that one kind of hurt because there's possible 10 extra points right there.
Yeah, that was, and we've seen this in the past. Those become big down the line. Is that a tough one to kind of let it out of your head once you cool down tonight and just say, okay, what's next? Because we get a week off, but then you got to come back to Bristol.
Man, I hate Bristol, so that was great. But I think Cody not making a move was like kind of being like, sorry I turned you. But we'll definitely take the bonus points you get for winning too. That's nice too. After Dover with like the Dover had the connection issues, so this is a good one. Hopefully that was my drop.
Well, there you go. Congratulations, brother. A fantastic win for you tonight, picking up the win in the Real Assist 200 here at Daytona. Before we let you go, make sure you do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Of course, thanks to Zeems, setup shop, teamzss.com, but they producing great stuff, especially some great Talladega setups this week. If you want to be fast, that's what you got to run. Shout out to Cody and Johnny for running with me all night. That was good fun, and pushing me to win and just being around me all night. It was fine. It was nice finally having some friends.
Yes, it was. All right, buddy. Congratulations on the win here tonight, and taking a look to see who else we have. Here we go. Let's see. We got to bring these guys up here and get them up into the waiting room. Let's bring in our runner-up finisher tonight here, Mr. Cody Porter. And, man, I'll tell you what, Cody, I was – and Braden was equally surprised. No move there off of turn number 4. Was there something you thought, maybe we could try it, or was it just kind of the juice maybe not worth the squeeze there?
So we pushed all the way down the backstretch and had Johnny on my butt all the way through 3 and 4 too, and I got loose in the middle of 3 and 4. So the little run that I was gonna have, it just went away. I thought I was able to get to his right rear and pull him back to me. At least maybe be a close finish. If not, I could win. But it is what it is. P2 is not bad. Fun night.
Yeah, and it was a big recovery drive for you as well, taking the EOL penalty early in this race. Was there any concern that you wouldn't be able to get back up towards the front, either damaged car, just the way the race might shake out, or were you able to settle yourself and just know you could get there?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I guess it was connection issues on my end maybe, because I didn't get a lick of damage, not even a second. So, and I'm looking at the replay, and it doesn't look like I really touched him, but obviously I did because he spun around across my nose. So I knew that we'd have a fast car to get back to the front for sure.
Well, congratulations on the second place finish here tonight, Cody. And before we let you go, let's let you do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous.
It's got the Zeem setup shop, They pay me every once in a while. And then My Shift Media and then Express Esports, my team. That's all I got. And you guys for the broadcast.
All right,
Can't wait
bro.
to watch it.
All right, well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here for a moment. And now let's talk to Johnny Avila, a guy who was, well, not upside down and on fire, but backwards at one point in this race, and still able to put it up onto the podium. Johnny, congratulations. Talk us through your night a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting night. You could definitely see that there was a lot of teamwork going on with the various teams. I know some teams were trying to slow down the pack to let a teammate back on the lead lap, but like that's understandable. But it was a great race. I have great teammates. I have people from Express Esports like Braden and Cody, but then I also have the wonderful group from WWR. Unfortunately, some of the WWR guys were caught up in wrecks, but me and Hunter were posing to try and make a run come out of turn 4, but for whatever reason I couldn't get the run. It was just like a bubble. But it was a fun race.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit, how it seemed like you almost had to be a lot further back than in the past to try to get that run started. Is that something that you're seeing out of the development drop this week, or what? Because that was odd. It seemed like there was just no way to get the run going without shoving somebody out of the way.
I would say if you drop back, the car didn't suck up as well as it did before. So I think it was more about being tight and organized with the person you want pushing you, because like the person pushing you definitely was more important this time than last time, just the way the runs were developing and how to build up momentum. Like,
well,
I know a couple of times I had to like kind of manage the momentum behind me so people couldn't get a run and pass us.
It's going to be interesting to watch this one back and see what we can gain from that. But, Johnny, congratulations on the third place finish here tonight. Good points night for you. And before we let you go, let's let you do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous.
I'd just like to thank Teams ZSS, Zeem's Setup Shop. Also all of my teammates. There was a lot of chatter in the Discord and in game today, so like trying to organize everybody's voices and get on the same page was definitely a task today. But we had a 1, 2, 3, 4 result with everybody here for the most part. So pretty good night. So
yeah, not a bad night for you, brother.
Nah. And, of course, Sam trying to keep everybody in check tonight because things got hectic. It's kind of funny how the people that tend to side draft the hardest are the ones that can't hold the line the greatest. But nonetheless, Sam kind of controlled the narrative the way he needed to. And, of course, you guys up in the booth always bringing a fantastic broadcast. I'm looking forward to watching this back.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate the kind words. And, yes, kudos to Sam. Fantastic job tonight trying to keep this whole crew under control. But, man, I'll tell you what, Bizzle, this was like we were saying a moment or so ago, this was not the show I thought we were going to get here tonight. But, my goodness, did these guys put on another fantastic race at Daytona.
Yeah, typically for the Sim Racers Club, we're talking about how it's amazing how these guys have gone the entire race with no cautions, and wow, we only got one real big wreck at the end, and that's when they all started going crazy. They were all using their heads the entire race, but no, we got, I don't want to say our typical Daytona race, but frankly, the typical Daytona race. It was exciting the whole way through. It's exactly what you want in a Daytona race, where these drivers are fighting the entire time. You're racing an inch and a half apart. You're going to get wrecks when that happens. And frankly, it was awesome to see.
This one was a lot of fun. I love seeing a good league running around the Daytona International Speedway. It is an absolute blast. And quite frankly, we've got more coming up, too. Tomorrow night should be a great show. U.S. Open Wheel Indy Pro 2000 Championship taking on Sebring International Raceway. That is always a fantastic circuit for those cars. And as a reminder, check us out this weekend on dirt2media.tv. That's dirt2media.tv, where we will have live coverage of the season finale from Airport Speedway. We will have the absolutely fantastic Casey Kreider on the call, one of the best in the business in micro sprints. He'll be on the play-by-play, and the NRN crew will be handling the production there for Dirt 2 Media. So check them out, Dirt 2media.tv. You also can get the Deuces Wild Shootout from US 24, $12,000 to win microsprint race. It's going to be a pretty wild show. Looking forward to all of that and a whole lot more coming up next week as well. You don't want to miss any of it. But until then, for Patrick and everybody else here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.